Previously on One Way or a Mother, college sweethearts Arianna and Zach Lastry met, fell in love, and got married.
A year later, I was pregnant with Wilder. Yeah.
I'm pregnancy-focused chiropractor Dr. Elliot Berlin, and you're listening to One Way or a Mother, a serial podcast where each season we explore one intricate, deeply personal, and circuitous pathway to motherhood. Wow, pregnant just a year later. Was that a conscious choice?
It was a conscious choice to pull the goalie. It was not a conscious choice to get pregnant on the first try.
Which goalie did you pull?
Just the pulling out goalie. There was no other real.
Oh, you were already pulling the goalie.
Yeah. It was. We were both cool if I got accidentally pregnant at one point or another, but this mental shift of we're really ready to start a family now. We both mentally shifted and it immediately happened.
Did you sense it?
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
You're intuitive like that.
Yeah.
How did you find out for reals?
We had been traveling in Europe and Morocco for his dad's 60th birthday, and it was such a fun trip. And then I haven't gotten my period and I feel really weird. And I took a bunch of tests and they all were negative. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like 6 weeks. I have no idea what's going on. I took a bunch of ovulation tests and they were all positive.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And I was like, what the heck? Eventually I got a positive pregnancy test, but it was just bizarre. I don't know whether the ovulation tests were picking up the pregnancy hormones. I have no idea.
It sounds like you convinced your body you're pregnant.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened.
Guys, you got it wrong. We're pregnant.
Yeah, we're pregnant. So just get on board.
Yeah, I'm going to take another test and do what you're supposed to.
Show me the evidence.
Your cycles are normally pretty regular?
Yeah, very regular.
Okay, so you knew.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel any other changes?
Just so giddy. Like I was extremely giddy, and in this weird way that like my body was giddy, not my mental state, like this other energy inside of me. I don't know how else to explain it. Maybe if you've ever gotten acupuncture, that rush of your chi or whatever, that's what it felt like to be pregnant. And then I got sick. So there was that.
Like the nausea, vomiting sick?
Yeah, nausea, very nausea, no vomiting.
Is that better or worse?
Honestly, I think worse because there's no relief. It was just constant debilitating nausea from, I would say, a couple days after I found out I was pregnant to 14 weeks.
Once she finally got the positive pregnancy test, Arianna couldn't wait to tell Zach.
It was a few weeks after our trip from Italy, and she was on the couch and she looked at me and said, I'm pregnant. And I was in shock. And then she started laughing uncontrollably. And then she started crying uncontrollably. And then I took out a Polaroid and I took a picture of her. And I have the picture. And you can't tell if she's laughing or crying. It's just very confused.
I just was sobbing hysterically out of fear and happiness and disbelief and terror, I think. Sheer terror.
Arianna's the first of her friends to become pregnant and doesn't know what to expect. It's exactly what she wanted, but it starts to set in that things are about to change. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Arianna is pregnant but miserably uncomfortable. She quickly realizes that she knows very little about pregnancy and even less about birth.
What did you know about pregnancy at that point? Had you kind of explored what it would be like, or birth?
No. Nothing. I had stories. I had my birth story from my mother, and then I had one of our teachers at NYU at experimental theater school. She always talked about her orgasmic birth.
Oh.
So I was very familiar with her story.
Did she get on stage and recreate it?
She would, yes, she
Was
would
that her
always,
thing?
yeah, she loved recreating it. Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't really have much to go off of. No. I was not ready for the pain. I had a lot of like butt pain, sacral radiating butt pain, not sciatica apparently, but
Sacroiliac, probably.
I was not, yeah, something like that. And it was very painful. It would flare up and I would have to stop doing whatever I was doing and stretch, but I'm really hypermobile. So the stretching didn't work and I would roll on the ball constantly. I was working out with a trainer starting my second trimester, which I'm not used to. My body's not used to doing that. So I don't know if that was the best thing to be doing at the time.
What do you meaning you're not normally a worker outer?
I love yoga and I do yoga almost every day. It's like great for me. It's great for my body. It makes sense. Meditative also keeps me in shape. I walk a lot, I hike, but the gym thing just isn't my thing. And then I started doing weight training and gym stuff with this amazing trainer. I love her, but I just don't know if that was the best thing to be doing for my body.
Yeah, hypermobile might be behind the source of that pain,
Yeah.
because once you make relaxation hormones, you become even more hypermobile. If you're not used to straining those joints and you add some weight bearingness to it, it seems like butt pain.
Yeah.
A formula for butt pain, weird butt pain.
Yeah, weird butt pain. Oh, it kept me up at night. I would wake up and it would just cramp and just, it was sort of miserable.
And also not very orgasmic.
No.
So far, you are not living up to the picture of birth.
Not on track for any kind of fun, stimulating birth story. No.
Was your plan at that point, let's say around 20 weeks, was your plan to give birth at home or in a hospital?
In a hospital. And I had an OB who I was okay with. I didn't really have much of an intense relationship with her or whatever. I figured, I've heard a lot of women say this on your podcast before, which is just to echo, I think, the same sentiment, which is I thought that that makes the most sense. And I didn't want to go against the grain. I didn't want to make anyone else uncomfortable, like my family or Zach's family. So I was like, I'll just do it in a hospital. It's fine.
Meaning in your mind, you would have preferred to do it at home, but you're like, that's weird. So
I closed myself off from the woo-woo idea. Like woo-woo meaning like that's how it's perceived a lot of the times, not how I perceive it. But because I just didn't want to think too hard about it. I don't even know. I didn't know how to approach or even how to start looking at that. I just thought, you know what? I'll probably just do it naturally in a hospital. It'll be fine.
Oh, you sound like your mother.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And to be clear, you guys, when you're saying naturally, you don't mean vaginally, you mean unmedicated.
I mean, unmedicated, and I did mean vaginally. Yes, that's how I pictured it, just unmedicated and vaginally, and just the setting was a hospital.
Arianna chose to pursue a hospital birth mostly because she didn't want to go against the grain or make anyone uncomfortable. But with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, medical care changed quickly and dramatically.
Before we knew what it was just a little bit daunting because, I don't know, it affects pregnant women and fetuses and whatnot.
Nobody knew at that time.
Yeah, we didn't know. But after that, and we learned what it was and more of what it was, and just the lockdowns happened, it just became extremely difficult, extremely lonely. There was so much fear going around.
And very little toilet paper.
Very little toilet paper, which also, if you're peeing that much, it's just, that's really hard.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, then you're spending a lot less time with other people.
Yes.
So your 70% extrovert is like, what the F?
Yeah. I'm like, where are people touching my belly? Where are
everybody else is like, hands off my belly.
Right. But I'm like, wait, I want people to acknowledge this change in my body. This is so crazy. Like, and now I'm walking around my empty neighborhood with no cars. And maybe a neighbor or two will be like, oh, congratulations. But, they're 13 plus feet away from me. So it was very strange. And I know my mom's friend mentioned this when we finally did get to see each other. She was like, I'm so sorry you missed out on that experience. I'm so sorry. That is something that I really enjoyed about my pregnancy. And I was like, wow, I did miss out on that, and I'm bummed about it.
A lot of pregnant women don't like when people touch their bellies, so I thought it was funny and charming that Arianna craved that so much. I asked her how she felt about her changing body in general.
I think I panicked more about the afterbirth body than I did about the pregnant body. So I think that took up a lot of my headspace was, okay, well, I have to prepare my pregnant body now so that my afterbirth body can be really awesome and I can get back to what I am and feel really good about myself and secure and sexy and whatever.
But did you find your pregnancy body to be awesome in different ways?
No, the first time, not so much because I feed off of other people. So my husband was awesome. He's like, "Oh, you look so great. You look amazing." But I think because I only heard it from him, I'm like, "You must be lying. I'm the only person you see. Of course you think I look good." Like,
But that also can go the other way. You're the only person I see ever that can get stale.
that's true. So it was nice to hear from him. But I think that I myself was just so obsessed with an after birthing body that I didn't really take advantage of getting to love my pregnant body. He wanted to take photos of me. I let him take some Polaroids in like a dress outside in our backyard.
I always just really liked seeing pictures of my parents when they were younger, going through those things. So part of the inspiration was not only for me and Arianna to be able to look back on the photos, but just how fun it would be for our children to be able to imagine that they were inside of her belly at that moment in time. It's very trippy, it's fun. My family's always taken many photos and have them all over the wall, so I have a familial instinct to document our lives in that way and always have it around us.
Zach was excited to document his growing family, but for Arianna, the excitement of pregnancy was eclipsed by the turmoil of the global pandemic.
The world was also seemed like it was melting. There were cities on fire. There was lots of violence. There were protests, peaceful and not. There was just so much going on. And we were inundated with news. And I didn't do a good job of kind of staying out of it. I was totally in it and I was totally absorbing all of that.
Really, nobody could escape it.
Yeah, it was something that just took over the world. And energetically, I think also, even if I did block it out or try to block it out, I don't know if I would have succeeded, only because we were separated from people. And that was very obvious. And everybody was fearful and talking to people. You really, really couldn't avoid it any which way, shape, or form. So I think I absorbed a lot of that. And I definitely think that impacted my mental health and emotional health, and thereby affecting my physical health.
There was no way to escape the chaos of that time. It was all consuming, and just as it affected almost every aspect of everyday life, it affected healthcare as well. As they switched from in-person to telehealth, the initial doubts Arianna had about her obstetrician only grew.
I felt more and more disconnected from her each time, previous to just going in by myself alone to those doctor visits. And then when it changed to telehealth, I could tell that she wasn't even looking at the picture of me on the screen.
Mm.
So I didn't get the belly touches. I'm not getting the looking at me on the screen. She didn't ask how I was feeling. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It was like a breakup moment.
I mean, isn't there, like, I can't do chiropractic virtually.
Yeah.
How do you do an OB appointment? Like, aren't they like measuring things or touching things or?
No, I didn't really get touched a lot in her office, and I think that weirded me out. Also, the combination of not being touched in person by other people, friends, family, random people, and
And
then not
appropriate
being
strangers.
yes, and yes, exactly, and then not being touched by my OB who's about to deliver the baby that's inside me, that's about to get like really intimate with my junk, and like help me get this kid out. I was like, it's just it was it was weird.
You need some
So
kind of deeper relationship than
yeah, I do. I do.
Zoom.
I needed a connection.
Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll hear how Arianna decided to ditch the hospital plan and set up camp at home. At this point in our story, Arianna is weeks shy of delivering her first baby at the height of the COVID-19 craziness. She and Zach are camped out in Connecticut with his family when Arianna, frustrated with her obstetric care, makes a daring late-in-the-game decision to completely rethink her birth plan.
Did you think to switch to another OB? Were you thinking about giving birth in Connecticut?
Everything under the sun crossed my mind, but this was at a time when in the hospitals it was like unlikely that your partner would be able to be there, and definitely hard no on a doula. So I was like, okay, I have to do a home birth. And I knew that, and I was like, that feels right. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try to contact midwives. Like, I need to do this. It was an instant thing. I had the last session with my OB. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, who do we know that's had a home birth? I need Rex now. I need to switch care now.
And were you thinking about doing that in Connecticut or coming back to LA?
No, coming back to LA and doing it there. Yeah. Zach's family, I think, would not be familiar with that idea. So I think it would have been good to, I also wanted my mom there, and she's in LA.
Did you talk to his family about it?
We didn't let them know our decision. We let them know what we were doing.
How'd they take it?
After we had decided. There was a lot of don't worry. There's always a backup OB. Don't worry. We would go to the hospital if anything goes wrong. They don't wait until it's a dire situation. Then you have to get an ambulance, trying to calm them down. That this idea is very safe. Lots of people do it. If something goes wrong, we have a plan B and it's all going to be fine.
Were those conversations that you had to have with yourself as well?
Yes. I was so determined to have this baby now at home that I think the plan B, the backup plan, went by the wayside. Like, I didn't spend enough time thinking about it.
Okay, so you're pivoting to home birth. Did you go through a bunch of midwives or find it's like one and done?
I emailed 2 or 3 midwives that I had recommended to me by a friend who had a home birth years ago. And one took too long to get back to me, and the other one responded right away. And I loved what she said. And I basically was like, okay, great. She's hired.
Oh,
I love
great.
her. And she had the same spelling as my mom's name, which is unusual. And so I was like, I trust her. I love her. I haven't met her yet, but she's the one.
That's great that you felt that instant gut. This is it.
Yeah. And then
because there was so much uncertainty. It's nice to not be unsure.
Yeah. She was like, I totally get it. Don't worry. We're going to make this happen. Can't wait to meet you. I have time for you. Let's do this. And I was like, yes, you're a gung-ho. I'm gung-ho.
And she's very touchy.
Very touchy. She came in the first time I met her. She just grabbed my belly, grabbed the baby in my belly, grabbed its neck, its skull, was like, look, this is where your baby is. I was like, what? Yes, I love it. Give me more.
Tell me, wait, I didn't feel worse the bum.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is amazing.
Now that Arianna has her new team in place for her home birth plan, she starts to get in the zone. She's outside in the fresh air every day doing yoga in the sunshine. She's part of a labor support group with other women, and she's spending time connecting with her partner. She's healthy, relatively calm, and as far as she knows, ready to go. And then the day finally comes.
So my due date was a Friday, and that Friday came, and then that Friday was leaving. So we went to bed. And in the middle of the night, I was having these weird period cramps. So I'd get on all fours and then go back to sleep. And then I'd get the cramps and I'd get on all fours and I'd go back to sleep. And I had so much pain in my body, in my legs and glutes and back area the entire time. I think starting my second trimester, I don't know. It was just excruciating. It would keep me up at night. It would wake me up at night. So I was used to being woken up by my body in pain and having to sort of like manage it and try to go back to sleep. So I didn't think anything of it.
But it sounds like, because you said period cramps, like that's not the same as hip and glute pain.
Correct. But when I'm asleep or sleeping, I wasn't even registering that
There's
it
just
could be.
one button that says pain, and you felt it, and you try to
Yes,
get out of it. Okay.
exactly. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. No. So I wake up the next morning and I'm like, okay, it's fine, whatever. I decide to do a 90-minute yoga class
Online?
in the
Okay.
sunshine, which was a lot. And then I made a weird green smoothie, which I don't know. I've never made a green smoothie, like a really green, dark green smoothie.
No
I've
apple?
never, no.
Just
It,
leaves?
it was like leaves and coconut milk and spirulina powder. And I don't know what I was doing, but I was like, I
Oh,
really want that.
okay.
So I made that.
And you
I
drank it.
drank that. And I was like, I feel so weird. I feel so weird. I feel like I'm about to come up on acid.
What does that feel like?
Um, it's like a pause in the universe. It's a pause that you're filling with yourself and you're waiting for something and you don't know what, but it's very cosmic. And you're like, things are about to shift, but I don't know how they will shift, but they're going to shift no matter what. So I was like, okay, I feel like I'm going to come up on drugs. It's weird. Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever. So then I'm starting to have these period cramps again. It becomes the afternoon. I texted my friend who has like 3 kids and I was like, dude, I'm having period cramps. Is this what labor feels like? And she's like, yeah, yes, it is. Yes, yes. And I was like, oh, okay. I think I'm in labor.
Arianna is officially in labor, though it took her some time to realize that. She has her body, mind, and space prepared for an unmedicated home birth. But, as we know, things don't always go according to plan.
The birth tub's not blown up yet. I get in the regular bathtub. I go, oh my gosh, I have to push.
Whoa.
I was like, the baby's coming now. This is happening right now. And they were like, what do you mean it's happening right now? I said, I have the urge to push. My body's pushing now.
Tune in to episode 3 of One Way or a Mother.
Creator, producer, writer, and a host of One Way or a Mother is Dr. Elliot Berlin, D.C. Rose Hart-Landsberg and Natalie Pulvino are the writers and producers. Paul Greenberg is the consulting producer. Glenn Nishida was the sound engineer at Pacifica Studios. Nikola Teravovich was the audio engineer. Story editing and sound mixing by Mallory Edson. Theme music composed by Guillermo Silva. Juliette Lamar was a contributing editor. Special thanks to Arianna, Zach, and their family, and the providers for sharing their birth story. One Way or a Mother is an original production by Berlin LLC and the Informed Pregnancy Project. All rights reserved. Thanks for tuning in.